There is a small purple flower growing in your lawn right now, pressed flat against the grass to survive the mower, that 3 separate civilizations on 3 separate continents each independently named the plant that heals everything. The Cherokee called it heal-all, the English called it self-heal. The Chinese have prescribed it in their imperial medicine for more than 2,000 years. None of them ever spoke to one another. None of them shared a book or a language. And every one of them looked at this same small weed and named it not for its colour or its size, but for what it did to the human body. Today, modern laboratories have confirmed it carries one of the highest concentrations of a powerful anti-inflammatory compound ever measured in a plant, along with documented activity against viruses that modern drugs still struggle to treat. And today, you are paid to poison it. The lawn chemical industry engineered products specifically to kill it, because a plant that heals for free, that cannot be patented or owned or sold, is worth nothing to anyone except the person standing on the lawn. This is self-heal, Prunella vulgaris, and the story of how the plant that heals everything became a thing you spray on a Saturday morning is the story of what we were taught to value and what we were taught to destroy. Welcome to Lost Plant Remedies. The written record runs deep on 3 continents at once. In China, where it is called jiakukao, it appears in the classical Materia Medica more than 2,000 years ago, prescribed for the liver, for inflamed and aching eyes, and for the swollen glands and hard lumps of the neck and throat, conditions we would now connect to the thyroid and the lymphatic system, centuries before anyone alive knew those structures existed. In England, the great herbalist John Gerard wrote in his Herbal of 1597 that there is not a better wound herb in the world, and his contemporary Nicholas Culpeper, writing in 1653, said that when you are hurt, this is the herb to make you whole. The very name they gave it, self-heal, was a clinical observation, not a poem, and across the ocean, with no possible contact, the Cherokee and the Iroquois packed its crushed leaves into open wounds to stop bleeding and prevent infection, and drank its tea for fevers and sore throats. 3 civilizations, 3 continents, 1 small purple weed. When unrelated peoples reach the same verdict independently, that verdict is data, and the data held up when the laboratories finally arrived. The plant contains rosmarinic acid, a potent anti-inflammatory and antioxidant, in concentrations higher than almost any other plant on Earth, higher even than the rosemary it was named for. It contains arsolic acid and a compound researchers named prunellin after the plant itself, and the findings, when they came, were striking. In 1989, researchers studying an extract of this plant identified a compound with activity against HIV in the laboratory, which is part of what drew serious scientific attention in the first place. Later studies documented its extracts inhibiting the herpes simplex virus, the source of cold sores and a great deal of human suffering, including strains that had grown resistant to the standard antiviral drug acyclovir. Researchers in China and Korea documented its compounds calming the autoimmune inflammation that drives thyroid disease, which is the precise reason Chinese physicians prescribed it for swollen necks for 2,000 years. It showed antibacterial action against the organisms behind strep throat, exactly as the Cherokee tea was used. Modern science discovered nothing new here. It simply confirmed, compound by compound, what 3 civilizations already knew. So how does the plant that heals everything end up classified as a broadleaf weed? A defect in the grass? A problem solved with a bottle from the hardware store? The answer is the American lawn and the industry built on top of it. After the Second World War, a chemical called 2,4-D, developed during the war as a potential weapon, was marketed to American homeowners beginning in 1947 by the Scots Company as the path to a perfect, uniform, weed-free lawn. An entire culture was manufactured around a single idea that a proper lawn is nothing but grass, and anything else is a flaw. The American lawn care industry today is worth well over $100 billion a year, and that entire fortune depends on convincing you that the plants growing for free in your yard are enemies. Self-heal, low and spreading and impossible to fully eradicate, became a primary target. The herbicide companies formulated selective broadleaf killers designed to wipe it out while leaving the grass standing. There was no dramatic ban, no committee that outlawed the plant that heals everything. There was something quieter and more total. A multi-billion-dollar industry spent decades teaching Americans that this particular plant was a sign of a neglected, shameful yard, a thing to be poisoned. And within 2 generations, the plant the Cherokee carried in their medicine bundles had become the thing you feel a flicker of embarrassment about between your blades of grass. And the deeper reason it was allowed to disappear from medicine, rather than just the lawn, is the same reason every plant on this channel disappeared. You cannot patent self-heal. You cannot own it, cannot make it sterile, cannot turn it into a proprietary drug a company defends for 20 years and sells at a markup. To bring it back into official medicine would require tens of millions of dollars in clinical trials, and no company on earth will fund a trial for a plant that, the day the trial ended, anyone could simply pick from their own lawn for nothing. The evidence sits in journals from Beijing and Seoul, published and peer-reviewed, and never makes the crossing into your doctor's office, not because it is weak, but because there is no one with a financial reason to carry it across. The rest of the world never forgot. In China, Zia Ku Kao is still sold everywhere, brewed into a cooling herbal tea that millions drink in the summer. Across Korea and Japan, it remains in regular use. In the folk traditions of Europe, it was never fully lost. Only in the modern American mainstream did the plant that heals everything become a weed with a price on its head. So let me show you how to take it back, and you can identify it with total confidence in 30 seconds. Self-heal is a member of the mint family, so it has a square stem, 4 distinct edges you can feel between your fingers, and that single test rules out most lookalikes. Its leaves are oval and grow in opposite pairs, and the flower is unmistakable. A short, stubby, cylindrical cluster at the top of the stem, like a small purple thumb, packed with tiny 2-lipped flowers in a deep blue violet, blooming from June through September, across nearly all of North America, Europe, and Asia. In a mowed lawn, it learns to flower at ankle height, sometimes barely 2 inches off the ground. There is no toxic plant that combines the square stem, the paired leaves, and that stubby, purple flower head. It is one of the safest wild medicines a beginner can learn. For a fresh wound, a scrape, a sting, or a minor skin infection, do what the Cherokee did. Crush a handful of the fresh leaves and flower tops into a rough poultice and press it directly onto the skin. For a sore throat, the swollen glands at the start of a cold, or as a cooled wash for inflamed eyes, make a tea, a small handful of fresh flowering tops or a heaping tablespoon dried, steeped covered in just boiled water for 10 to 15 minutes. But the preparation that turns one afternoon of gathering into a year of medicine is the honey. Pack a clean half-pint jar with the fresh purple flower spikes and upper leaves, cover completely with raw honey, seal, and leave it in a dark cupboard for 3 weeks, turning every few days. The honey draws the rosmarinic acid and the other compounds out of the plant and holds them, and the honey itself is antibacterial and soothing, so the finished self-heal honey is the Cherokee wound medicine, the English throat remedy, and the Chinese anti-inflammatory in a single jar, made from a weed you are about to poison. One honest note: self-heal is among the gentlest and safest wild medicines, with a 2,000-year record and no significant toxicity, but it is supportive, not an emergency treatment. A deep or dirty wound, a climbing fever, a worsening infection, an eye that grows red and painful. These need a doctor, and self-heal sits alongside that care. Gather only from ground you know has never been sprayed, which rules out most lawns, your own included if you have ever treated it. If you are pregnant or on medication, check with a knowledgeable practitioner first, so consider what was done to you. The lawn industry does not want you to know that the plant you are paid to poison is the plant the Cherokee packed into wounds. The pharmaceutical industry does not want you to know it carries documented antiviral compounds growing for free between your blades of grass. They will not tell you that John Gerard called it the best wound herb in the world in 1597. They will not tell you the Chinese have brewed it for 2,000 years. They will not tell you that 2,4-D, the chemical you spray on it, began as a weapon of war. They will not tell you that 3 separate civilizations named it Heal-All before a chemical company taught you to call it a weed. They will not tell you because there is no profit in a plant that heals for free and cannot be owned. But the plant does not need their permission, and neither do you. It is not a flaw in your lawn. It is the idea that healing can grow underfoot for free, that the knowledge of it belongs to everyone, and that it can pass from one pair of hands to the next with no corporation taking its cut. Every person who learns to see the small purple flower for what 3 civilizations knew it to be is one more person who can never again be told that medicine only comes with a price. If this opened something for you, subscribe to Lost Plant Remedies before this video disappears, because we cover the plants and the forgotten knowledge that powerful industries spent a great deal of money teaching you to poison and to be ashamed of. And if you want me to walk you through making the self-heal honey yourself, along with 4 other forgotten remedies, grab my free 5-day course, The Lost Ferment, linked in the description below. It costs nothing. The Cherokee never asked anyone's permission to heal, neither should you.